We're here with Glenn Ashby. It's lovely to see you here less than a week after the accident. And here you are, the very important announcement of Australia's America's Cup team. First of all, how are you going? You had surgery already, and within less than a week, you're back here in Sydney.
Yeah, look, it's been a busy week to say the least. So, no, look, it's an extremely special moment, for Australian sailing and Australian sport. Today it's been, a lifetime, if you like, for a lot of us dreaming about this moment. And I think Tom Slingsby has sort of summed it up as well. We've been talking about this for probably around 20 years now to, have the opportunity to, have an Australian America's Cup team. We've all worked for other challenges and other syndicates, for other countries for a long time. So to be able to finally, with the help of the winning family getting behind, the sport which they've done for a very long time, with their help, we've actually been able to be in a position where we can, put all our assets together and our athletes and have a go at the America's Cup. What a wonderful opportunity.
Absolutely. So you're in charge of design and performance. That's a pretty full board job, isn't it? And the boats, the old Kiwi boat, 2021 boats, actually being worked on now. You were saying earlier it's pretty much we're working with a shell. Is it literally like that? I mean, you can change that much on the boat?
Yeah, look, so Emirates Team New Zealand have been, obviously a huge part of my life over the last sort of 15 or 16 years. They have provided us with a design package that we've been able to take on. The old Te Rehutai hull, which I sailed on in 2021 and defended the America's Cup from 2017 with the team there. That hull is actually getting retrofitted as part of that design package to turn into a modern class legal AC38 hull. So there is a 12.5% surface area change that you can do with those grandfathered boats. So that hull is actually in the process at the moment of being cut up in New Zealand, getting a new bow built here in Sydney at the moment, which no one knows about. That will basically, fulfil the constructed in country rule of that bow, that 2.7 metre bow section going onto that boat. That'll be shipped over in another month or so back to New Zealand. That boat will then be retrofitted with new hydraulics, new electronics, whole lot of new systems on board. It'll have new mast, new sails, new foils. That'll effectively be a brand new boat. We'll just be using the old hull to move forwards. The beauty about those boats now is that the refinement of the AC75 class is such that the hulls are such at the pointy end now. The aerodynamic development has got to a point where there's really not much in the aerodynamics. The rigs, the sails, the foils are very important, and the way you sail the boat. So hopefully the sailing team will do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I read somewhere the other day, I thought it was an interesting thing, you were blamed for introducing foiling into the America's Cup in the early days. That was an extraordinary story, and I remember reading about it at the time. It must have been incredibly secret. I mean, you were working on dams up in the hills, what was going on there? That was amazing.
Look, it was an extremely exciting part of my sailing career, being part of that initial sort of foiling concept, if you like, to be able to sail upwind and downwind with those particular type of foils. So doing all the tow testing, on Lake Arapuni, working with the designers and engineers way back in 2010, 2011, to put that sort of foiling concept together was very, very special. But moving forwards from that now, foiling has become mainstream in sailing and kiteboarding and windsurfing and so many sports, over the last sort of decade. It really is sort of modern day technology, and hydrodynamic efficiency is absolutely key to being successful for this next America's Cup. And we're actually really lucky that we do have the support of Emirates Team New Zealand to help us put this package together. We have to execute that really well, but we're building a legacy for the future. So this is just really the first step to that future process.
And just briefly on the foils, how constrained are you by how much you can do with those?
The foils themselves are governed by a set of rules, if you like. There's sort of rules that the foils have to meet for length, width, weight, centre of gravity, all that sort of thing. There's some one design components, like the foil arms, for example, and the actual base laminate for the spar, for example, are all one design. So the actual class rule itself is fairly complicated, but within that rule, you can still do quite a lot to actually change the boats. We saw how different the boats were back in Barcelona a couple of years ago, and yet the performance was very, very similar. So I think there's different ways to skin the cat, and certainly we'll be pushing forward for the best we possibly can do with the class.
Excellent. And finally, are you going to be doing any sailing, or are you going to be too busy for that?
Oh, look, honestly, I'm not sure that I'll be doing too much sailing, although Tom and the guys are quite keen for me to do a bit of sailing, which is lovely. My biggest value, I think, going forwards from here with my sailing career is really focusing on performance and development. Whilst, the sailing side I love, I've had a great run over the years, and I think for myself personally, just sort of globally overseeing, the performance package and what we actually need to do campaign strategy-wise, I think that's probably my best energy put forward to the campaign.
And it's very interesting to see people like Blair Tuke too doing that step up again and just getting into the bigger picture stuff. Fantastic, Glenn. It's really great to know you're on board on the Aussie team, and all the very best for the next coming months. You're going to be a very busy man. We'll be watching it with great interest.
Thank you very much. I'm definitely up for the challenge. Cheers,
Excellent.
guys.
Thanks.